Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. This is the Kohen speaking on the Sabbath. Now, I did record this session earlier, and I decided to put this into the testimony while I'm still alive. I'm still live. However, I recorded it just in case if I have problems with the internet, electricity, things like that. Then I can always, send this lecture to Rabbi Kefa. He can play it at his end because we know at least the internet is stable and we have problems with that. So I wanted to relay this testimony to you, which actually came in after my recording. So I decided to insert it and then re-record it. So what happened was that I was having a discussion with somebody here about businesses, about what kind of businesses they should be in, and I told a business person over here that they came to me for some advice. They said I have $100,000. Basically, they're getting $100,000 from wherever, and they asked me what kind of business should I invest it into over here in this country. So I told the person, I said, well, an average house over here, normal average house in that city where the person is, I said a normal average house, from my kind of estimation and educated calculation, I suggested that a normal house in their area is around $30,000 to, just around $30,000, normal house. And so I told that person that they need to buy 3 houses. The amount of money that she had, after the paperwork is done, they can pick up 3 houses. So this discussion took place around about, say, 2 weeks ago. And today, that person bought the 3 houses. Just as I told them. They got their money. They've signed for the 3 houses. They actually sent me pictures of the 2 houses. And the third one, they said that they'll send me a picture of it tomorrow. So, great work, Baruch Hashem. I mean, look, from something to nothing, from nothing to something. So my point is this, that that person could have just had the money sitting in the bank. Well, what's $100,000 going to give you in the bank? Pennies maybe, Maybe you get $5 at the end of the year, interest on it. It's absolutely worthless, just sitting in the bank. But now that I asked them to invest, and they've invested the money, now think about the rent they're going to get. Now, I'm calculating that roughly they're going to make, in this country, they're going to make at least $600 to $700 a month rent on those 3 houses. Maybe more, because there's also 3 shops as well attached to one house. So they're going to make a rent on 3 houses and 3 shops. Now, that's probably going to be, I reckon in this country is going to be close to $1,000. Now, $1,000 in this country is a lot of money for somebody, An individual family, it goes a long way. Even in America, it goes a long way. I mean, let's think about it. In America, if you had $1,000 income, surplus income, my goodness, you'll be like a king or a queen. So that is a testimony I wanted to give you. It's just between 2 people, a discussion, and I just by the by made a note, and I said, hey, your money, why don't you invest it into 3 houses? And boom, is done. So the perfect law is not about when will it come in. The perfect law is not about cause and effect. The perfect law is about effect and cause. Let me say that again. Effect and cause. Effect and cause. What does that mean? That means that you make the effect first. The cause happens after. So when I said to the person, you want to get 3 houses, that's the effect. Okay? The cause was that they needed to have the money to make that purchase. Well, the effect happened afterwards, naturally. So, in your life, whenever you want to have something work out in your favor, you want to make the effect, and then the cause will happen. In other words, a bridge. the roads, the villages, whatever infrastructure that is needed will be built after you've done the end result. So the end result, let's say for argument's sake, big example, but I'll give the example anyway. You want to build an airport in a remote place. Okay, you want to build an airport in a remote place. There is no roads there. There's no bridges there. There's nothing there. It's just wasteland, desert. And you decide to purchase this big whop of land. Maybe it's a mile long, maybe it's a half a mile long. You purchase this whop of land for a couple of $1 million, whatever, on the cheap, and you decided to build an airport there. Your dream, your vision is an airport. And so you build the airport in your perfect law, in your system, inner system. That's your effect. Your effect is that you're going to build an airport. You don't care about how the roads, bridges, etc. And what happens? The bridges, roads, everything is built afterwards. That's my point. As today is the Sabbath, I am certain that you are having a wonderful day over there in your respective countries, and that also that you are listening to the teachings and you are applying them in your life, executing them. Now, I know that there are certain individuals that may have difficulty understanding the material. And this is where you could potentially link with some other students of mine, and who could assist you, who are already, advanced students. You might see them in the room. You can connect with them, hook up with them, take their email address, talk to them, maybe exchange phone numbers, etc. And then you have the ability to take on information that they may have a better grasp of. If you're a newbie, if you're not sure, or if you are still confused and in the land of confusion, Babylon confusion, if you're in Bible and you're confused what to do, then that's a good way to network, team up with somebody else, so you can share ideas together as well. Now, today, I want to give you a brief synopsis. I want to give you, first we'll look at the Pasha's PHINCAS. First we'll look at that, then we'll look at some other things. And I'll give you some examples in how to help you manifest more accurately and more correctly without, running into problems. So the Pasha today is Pasha's PHINCAS, which is from the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, from the chapter or the book of Numbers, chapters 25, verse 10. And it says, and Yahweh spoke to Moshe, Musa, saying, PHINCAS, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the Kohen, has turned my wrath away from the children of Israel, while he manifested much zeal for my sake among them, that I consumed not the children of Israel in my jealousy. Wherefore say, behold, I give to him my covenant of shalom, and he shall have it, and his descendants after him, even the covenant of an everlasting priesthood, because he manifested zeal for his Elohim, and made an atonement for the children of Israel. Now, a number of things are very clear from here that you may not have, spotted, or maybe you have spotted, maybe you haven't spotted. Number one, that the priesthood from this point on had been handed over to PHINCAS, who was the son of Eleazar, and Eleazar was the son of Aaron. So, therefore, the priesthood at this point firmly belonged to Aaron's sons, because they were the people who had helped to pacify the wrath that God had upon the children of Israel for the various mistakes, for the various shortcomings, for the various limited thinking that these children of Israel had, that caused so much grief and problem to the whole nation. And so we'll look at what he did in a second. And also it says that God has given a covenant of shalom, a covenant of peace, as an everlasting covenant to PHINCAS and to his, the entire generation ahead. That would be me. That would be any other priest that belongs to, Aaron's bloodline. So all of us inherently have been given the covenant of shalom, covenant of peace, that we can utilize in our lives to live a peaceful and mature and happy life. Now, the situation that had happened back then was that there was a woman, there was a Israelite man and a Midiani woman, or let's call her. Midian was a region of an Arab region in the ancient times, and there was this Arab type woman, and they basically tried to lure an Israelite into committing some acts of, let's call it, lewdness or fornication, if you may, and some acts that were not right in the eyes of God. And God then thus, this man, PHINCAS, therefore executed both of them, and that pacified the anger of God. Now, we need to look at this a little bit mystically as well, not just look at it physically, because physically it happened many generations, thousands of years ago, but we look at it mystically today. And mystically, what does it mean to slay the unrighteous? Let's put it that way: slay the unrighteous. Mystically, it basically means this: that you as a person, you have been given the right and you have been given the authority to control your emotions. So really, the story of PHINCAS slaying the let's say unrighteous people that were in the camp is simply a story of humanity, us human beings, where we need to control our emotions. Because remember, our emotions are creative. They create. Our thoughts are creative. They create. So if we follow through the same line, and if we keep our thoughts of things that are not beneficial for us, for our families, for our loved ones, then we too will be overcome and succumb to these emotions, to all sorts of problems and issues that I'm pretty sure that nobody wants to deal with. None of us or none of you out there want to have emotions, problems that you're stuck with, that you have to deal with day to day. You want to have a peaceful life, a straightforward life, and if you have a desire, everybody has a desire, then you want to manifest those desires. Individually or collectively, when we channel our desire, or when we channel our thoughts and our states in areas where they're going to bring us troubles, then of course that is where you don't want to go. So really, I see the story of, I see this particular Pasha, this particular Torah portion story as a story of misdirected states and misdirected thoughts. PHINCAS is really, a story about when you misdirect yourself, you misdirect your state, you get a misapplication, you get a mishap, and you don't get what you want. And it's really a, slaying of the two people that were unrighteous was simply a metaphor, and that these kind of things normally happen to people, and these things happen all the time in our lives mystically to people that have misdirected desires and misdirected states. You can sit in a misdirected state for a long, long time and not know it, what you're doing, and all the things are going wrong around you. Everything is falling apart. Tight finances, loss of job, bad relationships. And then, on top of that, you go outside and other things happen, busted tire, maybe other problems that you encounter. Maybe, your roof started to leak. Possibly You started to have, several bills come in. The sister's got problems, mom's got problems, brother's got problems, he's knocking at your door to ask for help. All of these things are misdirected states and misdirected desires. And that's where PHINCAS' story really fits. And the thing is this, that I'm pretty certain that not many people today question themselves when these things are happening. People don't question why is this happening. They usually will point, normally people, what they do, they play the victim. They don't say that, well, I take ownership of the problem and I've got to deal with the problem. They don't do that. What they normally do is they'll say that this is somebody else's fault. My sister did it, my husband did it, my wife did it, my brother did it, my mother-in-law did it. It's always somebody else who did it. So they never take responsibility. As they don't take responsibility for their limited negative thinking, therefore they are producing, because they're always creating. They're in a creation mode. We are all in a creation mode. And we are always creating, whether we create good or whether we create evil. We're always creating. And because we don't control our thoughts, we don't direct our thoughts properly, we don't channel them, we just let them float around all over the place, and we allow external information. This is why it's very important of what type of external information you allow to be input into your system. Because if you allow external information into your system that is related to, whatever negativity, positivity, or whatever, that's how you will be affected. Let's say, for argument's sake, you put on the news, and all you hear on the news is there was a murder here, there was a shooting there, and a bus, fell off the bridge, and there was an earthquake at some place, and 10 people died, and there was a shooting, and 15 people died over there, and then there was a car crash, and 2 people died in the car crash. So when you listen to news like that on a daily basis, and it goes into your, that is what forms your state. That is what will form your state. What state will that put you in? When you're listening to that kind of news, and even it may be 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe half an hour that you listen to the news and you stop and start doing something else, now you have put yourself in a self-destructive state. Yeah, very much so, self-destructive state. Now, what state does that put you into when you're watching the stock market and, the news that comes through is, the Dow Jones is crashed 500 points, the SPY, the SPX has crashed 1,000 points, Apple lost, 5% share value, maybe, some other company, I don't know, some biopharma, lost 15% value, gas went down, or rather gas went up 10%, things like that. So again, you put yourself in a state. What state does that put you into? See, these are the kind of questions that you need to ask, is what state am I in right now? Now, doesn't matter what state it puts you into. It might put you into a really bad negative state. It might put you into a financial loss type state, because when you're hearing this kind of news, the people are being murdered and killed outright, and there's bloodshed all the time, and they're showing you these pictures of these bodies on the floor, you put yourself into a state of bloodshed. You're in a creative state, but your creative state is now of bloodshed. See now how it gets misdirected? And now when you are always listening to losses, loss in the market, loss in the banking, bank collapsed, and something happened, an insurance company collapsed, this is kind of news that you might come across. When you come across that type of news, what state does that put you into? It puts you into a financial loss state. So your mind, now your thought processes are all towards a financial loss state. And before that, if you were listening to some news channel and they were just broadcasting this happened, that happened, there was a collapse here, building fell over here, and building fell in Florida, and 10 people died over here, and there's an earthquake over there, then that puts you in a destructive state. So that's okay, because it happens. We're all human beings. We all tend to hit news headlines that tell us these things. It's okay, it's no problem. Once you listen to those headlines, you consciously will switch your state. You'll consciously say, okay, I've listened to that, but I'm not in that state. Okay, I've listened to the financial losses that are happening in the market. I am not in that state. I myself in an abundant state. I am going to stay in an abundant state. See, consciously, you will tell yourself that you're going to remain in a financial abundant state. You're going to remain in a healthy state. You're going to remain in a healing state. You're going to remain in a peaceful state. So what I did as an experiment, I removed all the news apps on my telephone, every one of them. I've removed them because, sometimes they'll send you headlines and you'll tend to look at them. So I just decided, as an experiment, I'm going to remove all of them. So that way, I'm not even interested in what's happening with the news anywhere in the world. All I'm going to be interested in is I'm focusing on manifesting things that I desire, things that I want to bring into my reality. So I'll simply focus on those daily, and I'm going to run this as an experiment for a month, and I'll publish the results. See, remember that in the book of Numbers, it was said that PHINCAS has a covenant of shalom, of peace. Well, what does that tell you? He will always have the state of peace with him, always. His children and his children's children will never lose the state of peace. Doesn't matter what's happening around them, they will always find the state of peace. So what do? You direct yourselves to a state of peace and calmness. And the easiest thing to do, when you see all these things are happening and you feel a little bit upset, you think, well, this is really bad, isn't it? That the such and such person died, or such and such, accident happened. You kind of feel pity, or you kind of feel bad. What you then do, you put yourself into a meditative, into a meditation. Run a meditation for 5 minutes. I've given you several meditations to run. There's a grounding meditation, there's a healing meditation, there's the sounds, there's all sorts of meditations out there that are given you. So you pick up one of those meditations, it's chakra cleaning meditations. And so what you do, there's, third eye activation meditations. You pick up maybe a chakra cleaning one, and you run a chakra cleaning meditation. You listen to it, and instantly you put yourself in the right state, in the state of abundance, in the state of happiness, in the state of joyness, in the state of creation, of good. Because you're always creating. Either you're creating bad or you're creating good. There's no in-betweens. So you put yourself in the state of good, kindness, joy, love, mercy, compassion. That's the state you bring yourself into, because it's all about your thoughts. It's all where you direct your thoughts. Sin, which is missing the mark, sin is really a limited way of thinking. A limited way of thinking will produce or will cause you to miss the mark. But you don't want to do that. You don't want to continue to miss the mark. And if you're missing the mark, then yes, we got to deal with it as individuals. I want to take you to a passage in the New Testament with the issue of Jesus. In John chapter 4, verse 13, 14, says that Yeshua answered and said unto her, or Jesus in this instance, whosoever drinks of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinks of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. The problem is this, that a lot of Christianity today likes to make this into something literal. Literal, that, Jesus will come and he will resurrect us from the dead and give us eternal life. This state, this passage is not talking about giving you a permanent, that you die in your misery and then you'll be raised to everlasting. It's nothing to do with that. This passage is allegorical, it's symbolical, it's a mystical passage. Jesus is simply, as I spoke to you last week, Jesus is your I am, is within you. The Son of Elohim, the Son of God, or the Son of Adam, or the Son of Man, whichever way you want to look at it. He is within you. You could even say that, he's directing to your conscious, and the conscious is directing to the subconscious, to the layers where the I am exists. This is simply saying that when you begin to act in the state of the Jesus state, what I call the Jesus state, when you are in the Jesus state, which is the now state, not in the past, not in the future, but rather in the present, when you're in the present state and you start to exercise your free will and you start to exercise, you channel your thoughts, then you will never thirst again for water. Water here is all the desires you want in your life. Every desire that you want is the water. So he says that if you drink water, basically if you drink your old water, which is your old state of, just not directing yourself, just not directing your thoughts, always misdirecting them, limited thinking, very low level thinking, then of course you will thirst. You will not get your desire. Thirst is fulfillment of thirst is when you get your desires. So it's talking about bringing your desire home. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up. So Jesus is metaphor here for giving you your desire that you want in your life so that you can have well springs of water, meaning fulfill all your desires. And that, by the way, is everlasting life. And if you want to look at it another way, everlasting life also happens to those people who die and come back into reincarnation. There's no such thing as one life. It doesn't exist. You probably have lived many times before. You've been born again. You've been born again a few times, but you won't know that because your memories have been locked. God has locked your memory unless you go to a hypnotherapist and they do a regression therapy on you of some kind, and then they open your previous memory up, and then you will tell them who you were in your past life. You probably lived many lives, and maybe all over the place. So who knows if this is your first life or this is your 50th life? You don't know that because this, if you count from Adam to now 6,000 years, and if each life you lived was only 55 years, then count the number of lives you can live. And even if you counted each life to be 100 years, then count the number of lives you can live. Because you've been born again many times. You've died, you've been born up, you died, you're born up again, you're sent back into the world. You've been reincarnated many times. I have read that some people have been reincarnated 60 times. I have read, and heard that a woman was reincarnated 12 times in past lives. So we just don't know how many times we've been reincarnated, but we have. We've gone and we've come back. And this passage is talking about your desires that you want to meet. And that, by the way, is a spring of water springing up into everlasting life. It's not waiting for some rosy heaven at the end of our life. That's just, unfortunately, kind of deception, I would say lies, fake news that you're listening to from your pastors or whoever. They've been giving you this fake news all this time, giving you a good feeling, but you really got nothing coming out of it. Fake news, not true. You died in the past and you come back a number of times. How come you never stayed back and went to some man-made heaven that they keep claiming that there's a heaven? How come you never stayed in that heaven? How come you never went to some mythological hell? See, all these things are creations of church. They're just creations of church to scare people, to make them submit to their agendas. That's all it is, nothing more. In fact, you can have your life now. You can have the life you love now. Now means that it may not happen today, but if you put yourself to it, if you write your intentions, your affirmations out, your desires, then within the next few years, 1 to 5 years, you can be living in your desires. You could be a very happy person. You could be a happy man or a happy woman because you're meeting every desire that you have. In John chapter 10 and verse 11 of that, it says, the thief comes not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I have come that they might have life, and they might have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. Okay? Here again, the thief comes but to steal. So what is the thief? The thief is any state that you stay in that's causing you destruction, causing you grief, causing you problems. That's what the thief is. Because the thief's idea, if you continue to stay in that state, then all that state will do is produce problems for you. You're losing your mind, you're losing your sanity over something that you have complete control over. But since you've never been taught that, since you've been taught that you don't have control, therefore you've been taught that no, it's happenstance. It's not happenstance. You have control over it. Do you seriously think that people have a heart attack and they don't have control over it? The person who has a heart attack, they caused it themselves. They have control over it. What caused it? Very easy. Even if you go to a doctor today and you had a heart attack and the doctor will tell you that, you've taken stress upon yourself. You've taken something upon yourself and internalized it. But what is that something? Well, it's a thought, right? It's some kind of thought. Maybe it's financial related. Maybe you're thinking, how am I going to pay my bills? That gives you a heart attack. Or maybe you're thinking, I'm ill. I've got knee pain. How am I going to cure my knee pain? Am I going to have to live with this all my rest of my life? Boom, you create yourself a heart attack. You stress over it. What about, you're trying to maybe marry your daughter. How am I going to marry my daughter? Or how stressful is that going to be? Maybe you're trying to buy a house. How am I going to buy the house? How am I going to get my deposit? All of that is a state. It's a state that will cause you stress, and the stress will bring on the heart attack. So whose fault is a heart attack? You. You're the one to blame. Because you caused your own heart attack by your wayward thinking, misdirected thoughts. Now let's talk about creation. Creating something. How do we create? It's a very important subject. How do I create? Okay. Let's think about it. Or I'm talking about the methodology. The methodology of creation. Here is the model that God gave Israel. God gave the model of Israel such and such this way. He said to Israel in Egypt, He sent Moses. Moses is a state of success, just like Jesus. So Moses goes to Egypt. He's a state meaning success, freedom, abundance, wealth. Moses represents all those states. So Moses goes to Egypt and he announces to the Egyptians. The Egyptians, by the way, are Israelites, because they call themselves Egyptians. And there are also Egyptians, and there is Egyptians, Israelites. So he picks up the Israelites who are Egyptians there, by living by the nationality of Egypt, and he says to them that God has sent me to free you. I'm going to take you to a new land where you're going to have freedom, where you're going to have success, where you're going to have abundance, and we're going to live happily, joyfully, nicely, and easily. So this is God's model, by the way. This should be your model as well. So what happened? First of all, a decision was made by God that this is how my people should live. And this is where they should live. Not just how, but where they should live. And what they should have. So the how, where, and the what was decided. This is what you must do for yourself. What you do for yourself when you have a desire. You decide the how, the what, and the where. Well, we can apply it to a sum of money. In a sum of money, you decide how much you want, where you want it, and what you want to do with it. So you decide all these things. Okay? Very similar way. So God sent Moses and he said, go tell my people, prepare them in their minds, in their brains. Prepare them first. Because if you don't prepare them, they won't do it. They won't listen to you. So Moses is a state in which you prepare yourself. What do you want? This is $1 million question that many people don't even have an answer to. Many people, if today you go to somebody and say, what do you want? They don't know what they want. They're like, oh, I don't know, maybe I want, such and such car, maybe I want a house, maybe I want, this clothes. They don't have a fix. They don't have a fix on their mind, so they're all over the place. So the very first thing you decide is, what do you want in your life? Where do you want it? And how? And not so much as where it comes from. Where do you want it means where you are. Do you want it there or do you want it somewhere else? How much of it do you want? So when you decide for money, you decide how much do you want. What do you want to start with? Where do you want it? Well, you want it in America, you want it in a European country. Where do you want it? So then you decide is the state. You put yourself in that state of now you're ready to receive the money, then you must start to do the work for it. So how do we do the work? You see, a lot of the people who say just think about it. Just put your thoughts to it. Your thoughts will power it. Unfortunately, that is not entirely true and accurate. Some people will say that, hey, devise a movie. In the movie, you close your eyes and look, and you'll see that you're in the movie, and you're speaking with somebody, and you're receiving money, whatever desires you put forward. I don't know. You said you want $200,000 or $500,000 or $1 million, and you are receiving that money in the movie. So some people will tell you, some so-called gurus, they will tell you to look in the mirror, or look in your mirror, I mean internal mirror, close your eyes, look in the mirror, subconscious, your conscious mirror, and they'll say, look at yourself as a movie, that you're receiving X amount of money, and you're being very happy about it. So you think, wow, okay, I'll do that. I can do that. That's easy. That's like watching a movie. So you close your eyes, you watch yourself in a movie screen, and you see yourself standing there, and you see yourself receiving money. But money never comes to you. You continue to do that exercise, the imagination technique every day, but money never comes to you. And you're like, what happened? Why isn't money coming to me? Because you're sending all that money into the Pacific Ocean. You're giving it to the Japanese or somebody else. You're giving all that money to somebody else. Somebody, if your name is Smith and you see Smith standing in the movie screen receiving money, and you're wondering why you're not receiving it and Smith is receiving it, is because Smith in the movie is a third person. Smith is not you in the first person state. You have put yourself in the third person state. So, if you put yourself in the third person state, that Smith in the screen is receiving the money. He's a third person. We don't know who he is. So you're sending your money to the Pacific Ocean. All your wealth that you're gathering, somebody called Smith is receiving it out there somewhere in the world, but it's not you. So your way of doing your imaginative act is totally wrong. So what should you do? You should enter the scene yourself and the state, and you should be living in that state. So how do you do that in the same kind of scenario? If you're expecting $1 million to come into your hands, you basically shut your eyes and you enter that state and you see yourself. Now you see yourself like those virtual games. You know, you've seen those virtual shoot 'em up games these days, where you see a rifle, or a machine gun, just moving around, and you're seeing you're the one following the machine gun, and targets in front of you, and you're shooting them up. That's how you need to be in the personal state. Is you have entered the state. You're the one holding the machine gun, technically speaking. So you're the one who's in the scene. You're not seeing a movie. There is no movie screen in your head. You're seeing yourself in that state. You put yourself in that state, and you see yourself that you're receiving money, and you're very grateful, you're very thankful. You received it. Let's say it just ended up in your bank. You see yourself in a scene where in the scene you collected your $1 million from the bank counter, and somebody phones you, sister, brother, doesn't matter, whoever. Fred phones you, and Fred says to you, hey, sister or brother, I just heard that you collected $1 million, wherever it came for. Doesn't matter how it came into your bank. It just says, I just heard you collected $1 million. Can I borrow $10,000? You're going to get that. So that's a scene, right? You may have brothers and sisters like that who want money from you. They want loans from you. Or the other scene could be that your sister phones you and says, hey, Janet, I'm very happy to hear that you just received $1 million. You just received $1 million, sis. And you say, yeah, sis, I've just received $1 million. I'm so happy. Yeah, I'm just heading down to the garage. I'm getting myself a nice car. I'm going to give myself a party. That's it. That's your scene. You've entered in the first person. You're no longer a third person's state. You are now a first person state. You've entered the scene. You acknowledge the phone call, and you do that phone call back and forth with your sister until you saturate your mind, and you give it all the tones of reality. What's reality? Well, how would you feel if you got $1 million? Right? You're probably not sure, because if you've never had $1 million, you don't know how it feels to have $1 million. So you create that feeling by that phone call. You create a feeling of happiness. Your sister phones you and you are happy. So how do you feel? You feel happy. And you tell your sister that, yeah, I've got my $1 million. I'm very grateful. I'm so happy and delighted. I'm going to the showroom. I'm going to the garage, XYZ garage. I've got a car booked out. I'm going to go pick up my car. Pay $40,000 for it. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, away you go. You kind of give a speech. You give a speech. So all the feelings of reality, you put yourself into the state and you add all the tones of reality. What are the tones of reality? Well, your state of your condition, being happy or sad. You're a happy person, you're happy. Secondly, the state would be, how does it feel to grab that money from the counter and put it into your bag or purse or wherever you're putting it? Maybe it's only a Walmart shopping bag, so you're collecting it in there. So whatever you're collecting your money into, you're feeling very happy. You put the dollar notes in bundles, and you put it into your bag, and you're feeling like, you're feeling financially secure. You're feeling amazing. You're feeling awesome. So you have those feelings. So you create those feelings in your internal imaginative act. Tones of reality. What's a tone of reality? Happiness. Feeling really great. Feeling like you're financially secure. You don't have to worry about paying bills left, right, and center. So you're feeling all great about it. And now you can also feel happy and smug that you're going to purchase your car And you don't have to pay a loan payment every month. Smug about that. You bring that feeling into yourself. So that is the meaning of giving it the tones of reality. And then if you then just repeat it. You repeat it over and over again in your imaginative scene. Maybe repeat it 10 times until you feel fully satisfied that you have done the state, you have been in that state, you have done the state of receiving the money, you're entirely happy and satisfied with it, and now you can, stop and give yourself a break. And when you go to bed at night, you repeat that and you fall asleep in that. And today you go to bed, you do it. Tomorrow you go to bed, you do it. For the next 7 days, you do it. That's it. After that, you say to yourself, I've done it 6, 7 times. I feel really, really happy. I feel that I've done it enough times. I feel my mind has received it. I'm saturated in my mind. My I am is benefited from it greatly. And now my I am can bring it. Okay, great. At that point, you can stop doing that imaginative act. Now you can go on to your next imaginative act. That is what's meant by put yourself into the right emotions. And when I say that you put yourself into the sight, smell, sound, touch, etc. You have those elements to contend with as well. And if those elements are added, wonderful. You've done a great job. That's basically where you need to be. When you put yourself into that position, you will no longer be thinking, what's going to happen tomorrow, because you just created your tomorrow. You have just created your economy. Doesn't matter the economy is down, is up, interest rates are down. Who cares? Nobody cares about interest rates. You only care about the fact that you are producing the income that you desire in your present state, and you have sufficient income to cover all eventualities. Doesn't matter if the interest rate goes up 0.5% or goes down 0.5%. You're creating your own economy. Same with the job. If you're looking for a high-powered job, you want to earn $200,000. You want to make the $200,000 a year. You look for a high-powered job, and you then go into the state, and you see yourself receiving a check, a bonus check from the manager at the end of the year, into the future some point. You're already working that job. It pays you $200,000. You are speaking to your manager, and your manager is saying to you, this is a first-person state, by the way. Sound. We're dealing with sound, touch. And so your manager is giving you an envelope, so you get your touch, and he says to you, if your name is Smith, I'll use the Smith example. Smith, you've been a great worker all year long. You benefited us greatly. You've been a great asset to us. And here is a check as a thank you towards your bonus, and a wine bottle as well. So that, come next year, you can likewise do hard work and help us. And you receive the check and you say, thank you, sir. Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure for me to work for you and do all these things. I love to. So that's it. That's the end of the imaginative act. And you repeat that over and over again till your mind is saturated. Repeat it over and over and over again till the mind is saturated. And then once the mind is saturated, you run it 3-4 times in the day. Maybe for 4-5 days, you run it and you stop. After that, you stop. And then you can move on to something else. So, gives you a little bit idea what you need to do, and what Jesus was talking about, and what state Moses was putting people into. Now you know. Now remember that it also said that the priest, in this case it was representing PHINCAS and the rest of the clan, that they became your atonement for sin. So what does that mean? It means that we direct you on how to bring your manifestations about, because sin really is a limited thinking, a limited way of doing things, and missing the mark. So it also means that we have the capability to do it for you. Like if I said to somebody, you need to do it this way, and they're having trouble doing it, then this is where prayer method comes in the way or comes to the way where I can use that method, that prayer, and I can help somebody. Case in point. I'll give you a case in point in a second. The case in point is of a woman over here that had a heart attack last night. Last night it was a heart attack. Somebody told me, sent me a message that she had a heart attack. So I sat down last night and I did a prayer session. I did a healing session for her last night. She just went to the hospital. So I did a healing session for her, and this morning I waited on news, of course favorable news, and it was favorable. The news came in the afternoon, and the lady told me about the patient, saying that she's much better now and she is in recovery mode. Okay, so that means I did the atonement for her. I mean, she wasn't in the position of doing it for herself, but I did it for her. That's where the Levites come in. So the passage in Numbers says, Numbers 25 verse 13 says, "And he shall have it, and his descendants after him, even the covenant of an everlasting priesthood, because he manifested," notice the word manifested, zeal for his Elohim, and made an atonement for the children of Israel. So we are key in this area of representation for the house of Israel. That's up to you. Do you want freedom? Do you want financial freedom? Or do you want to continue in the, down the rut, of a rat race? Do you want to be in the rat race all the time? Or do you want to come out of the rat race? Choice is yours. I've given you the method. Here is another great tip for you, that for those of you who often struggle with bills, because, you get a bill and you're like, maybe you have the money, you hold on to it, you think, I'll pay it right at the end of the month, when the bill is due, like on the due date. So first of all, get used to the idea of paying the bill early. Don't wait till the end of the month, right to the last date, because that indicates to your mind that you are subconsciously, you're indicating to yourself that you're lacking money, holding on to it. So you want to circulate that money, that wealth. You want to circulate it. You want to pay the bill early. Pay 10 days early. Pay 15 days early, get, rid of it, happily, joyfully, pay it thankfully, give thanks, give gratitude, pay the bill. Next, what you do, in order to create an ambience of abundance in your home and around yourself, take small coins, take quarters, 25 cents, and what you do is you place them all around your home. Place some 25-cent quarters in your kitchen, place some around your table, place some around your bedroom, place them all over the place, and even, throw a couple on the floor. So what you do is every day, when you're walking around your home, you'll see money everywhere. So your inner I am, your subconscious will get the feeling of abundance. And it will create abundance. It will then make you a money magnet. Money will then start to come into your life from different directions. So what you do is you do this, and you don't pick them up. Don't remove them from where you put them. Leave the coins where they are. Leave the coins all over the place, in 2-3 amounts, on your table, by your laptop, by your phone, in the kitchen table where you make your cooking. So whenever you go, you'll visually see those coins. And so that would be great ambience of money. And also what you do is at night, you place a dollar bill under your pillow, and maybe get some dollar bills and put a few dollar bills on your table as well, just around the table, real dollar bills, and put a dollar bill under your pillow. And every night you go to sleep, you're going to see the dollar bill there. And that's going to create an ambience of wealth, an ambience of abundance. And that will attract abundance. So this is a technique that you can adapt. All of you who want to test it, adapt it. I myself would suggest that if you have like a $10 bill, or a $5 bill maybe, a $5 bill you put under your pillow, and the $1 bill you put around your table, and you put some coins, all over your home. Put that all over your home. And then you see the magical effect. Then start seeing the miracles that starts to happen. Be grateful for the money, and money will start to roll in. Have a great Shabbat. Over to you, Rabbi Kefa.
Okay, Mishpaha. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, Mishpaha. Shabbat Shalom. This is Rabbi Kefa coming in again. If I can be heard, can I get a one? I want to make sure this lecture is being recorded, which, yeah, we have a recording. Houston, we do have a recording. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Okay, great. Okay, this parsha that we do have, Shabbat Shalom to all of you, Mishpaha, or Shalom Shalom, depending on where you are in the world. Shabbat Shalom or Shalom Shalom to you listening on any of the social outlets that are out there. We have the Facebook and we have the YouTube right now, but I'm pretty sure in the future there'll be other avenues and ways of listening in to these, lectures of life. These are, my son Nakshan will be 2 in September, but on his first birthday, Hakohin gave him the gift, the best gift ever. He gave him the gift. He gave him our complete Abrahamic-Faith Bible, or the Hidden Truth He Breaks Scrolls. That's the best gift ever. Nakshan has it on his shelf right now, and believe me, it will be utilized. Cohen actually, he signed it as well. He put his name in there and left him a great little message that he'll understand at a later time. But truly, indeed, life is all within the confines of the Torah of Moses. This is where life really is, and this is when you truly start to live. And this is when you live that life that's truly living a life that's even more abundant than you ever could imagine, if you can imagine. And that's where most people miss the boat. Excuse me. Take a sip of this wonderful water, Baruch Hashem. So we give thanks always. We give thanks always for the many blessings that we do have, and we're truly grateful, and we're truly humbled, and we truly show gratitude towards our fellow human beings. Now, you here in North America, we're getting ready to celebrate the 4th of July. Anybody in the room going to barbecue? Put up a capital B if you're going to throw some meat on the grill, Baruch Hashem. Any barbecuers in the house? Any planned barbecuers for the 4th of July? Any takers? My wife is doing it in the oven this year because it's kind of hot outside. But so no barbecuers. Okay, no problem. Anybody in this room know how to barbecue? Put up capital B if you even know how to barbecue, because I know there's a lot of the female persuasion in the room. Any barbecue? I know y'all gonna. There you go. I know the barbecuers. Now you're coming out the woodwork, Baruch Hashem. Okay, great. Yeah, great. Barbecuing is I tell you, it's an art. It's an art. Always and Forever said, I went to the beach already, so no barbecue this time. Whoa, but Always and Forever, hit the beach up. Nothing wrong with the beach. Get that vitamin D in there, Baruch Hashem. Get that melanin flowing and moving. Nothing wrong with the beach. Yeah, she said, Always and Forever said, yes, I'm burnt. Baruch Hashem. We give thanks for the sun. We truly give thanks for the sun. We give thanks for the sun because it has many healing elements to it. And you get out there in the beach, you get out there in that hot sun and barbecue or do whatever you desire, whatever makes you happy, and so be it. But my wife has perfected a oven ribs, beef ribs mix that she does. I tell you, I'm gonna bite my fingers off over here. She cooks her ribs in the oven, and I tell you that they taste like they're just right off the grill as well. So that's what, matter of fact, I might be smelling some of the aroma right now. But anyway, yeah, she has her little method, and she perfected it, I tell you. So I'm truly happy. So that's another way around of getting out there in that hot sun and firing up that grill. Or you can do it at night, depending on whatever you desire, your proclivity is, whatever you desire. But so again, truly, when we look at life and we understand that life is the Torah. Now I understand, and just like you understand, all of you grew up with the Bible in your house. How many of you can say, Rabbi, I grew up with the Bible from the time I was knee high to a tadpole? I remember a Bible being in my house. Anybody? You remember a Bible either on the shelf, or your mother or your father would be reading, grandmama and them would be reading the Bible. You grew up around the Bible, with the Bible in your house, quotes from the Bible all over your house. You know what I mean? So we grew up around. So the Bible is not strange to us. We were just strangers to the Bible, right? The Bible wasn't strange to us because we grew up with it. I mean, we grew up with it. We grew up. How many of you grew up with a picture of the white Jesus in your house? Anybody? Either grandmama had it up like on Good Times. You had the picture of the white Jesus. Any of you grew up with the white Jesus? So these things, Rabbi Zakar, we had a giant one with pictures. Yeah, we used to have that. I remember that with Rabbi Zakar, the giant Bible with all the different pictures. Oh, man, I remember that one. I do remember that one. I mean, and the pictures were real colorful. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was quite giant as well. The Catholics, you can get, because I used to be a Catholic back in the day, altar boy, did catechism and all that. But they have this big old Bible, and it's really illustrated, and the colors are just awesome. And there you go, always and forever had the gold trimming on there. I remember that. I was like, wow, this book must be important. Yael wanted it, says, and he was always watching it. Yeah, I remember that too. Could always remember, I would look, and anywhere I would sit in the living room at my grandma's house, I'm telling you, white Jesus was looking at me. I'm like, man. And I'm telling you, I said, man, his eyeballs are actually moving. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking. I'm like, man, how can this man see me? And I'm sitting in the corner over here. And I'm telling you, I said, man, this man's eyeballs are moving, man. I was like, how my grandma get a picture like that to where the eyeballs can move? But yeah, I remember those times. So we all grew up with the Bible, with white Jesus. We grew up with it, but we never really understood it. We never understood what life really was. We had the Bible, but truly, my grandmother wasn't living an abundance of a life. She was, she felt like, again, was she happy? I'm pretty sure she was, but I mean, she wasn't living an abundance of a life. Rabbi Zakari says, I never seen anyone reading it. Yeah, in a lot of houses, it was collecting cobwebs or just for show. When I go to my friend's house, they had one too, but it was just like for show. Like who could either have the biggest Bible, who could have the Bible with the most decorations on it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like for show, or just to say that you qualify. Okay, since I have a Bible in my house, I qualify either as a Christian or being religious, or I qualify as knowing God. You know what I mean? So you get these different flavors out there as we continue to grow, as we mature as human beings, and then we begin to understand there's got to be more to it. And all of us in this room, probably listen on Facebook as well and YouTube, you came to a point where you said, man, there has got to be more to life than just this, than just what I'm doing. I have to be here for a purpose, and my purpose just can't be this. I mean, come on, man. I'm here on this earth, and not just to do, I'm here on this earth to do something more than what I'm doing now. And then you begin, and that's when that search begins, that seeking begins, and then that's when you find. But it's a whole evolution. Some folks get it early, some folks get it later. But as long as you get it, I mean, that's the whole crust of the matter, right? Is that you come to a point in your livelihood that you do get it. Now, you've heard the old adage, and I believe it's totally true. How many of you believe that men mature later than women? Anybody believe that in this room? Put up a capital if you believe that, like, men mature later than women. I truly believe that. And here's one of the witnesses that I have to that. And a lot of the men are agreeing with me in the room because they understand this. This is why, younger women, they are attracted, and I don't know if you see this, but they are attracted to men in their 40s and their 50s. Why? It's because a man in his 40s, especially when he hit that 5-0, he's a mature man. He knows what he wants in life. He's not going to play no games with you. And you see this world over. Always in favor, am I right? Now, and the women in the room, now talk to me now. Because, and I hear a lot of my woman friends, my co-workers that sit there and tell me, man, and my sister even tells me, like, she no longer wants to be married to Jesus, by the way. My sister, she no longer wants to be married to Jesus. She understands that she wants a man in her life. And I was visiting her a couple of weekends ago. And she was telling me, she's like, bro, like all these men around my neighborhood and in my city, they act like little mama's boys and they live with their mama and da-da-da. And I'm like, really, sis? She said, yeah, I love to be in a relationship. I love to remarry again. but the quality of man out there. And I'm like, wow. Adasa, she's in your neck of the woods. And she's like they all just like little mama's boys. And she said, brother, I'm done raising. I done raised your nephew. I'm done. I raised my son. I'm done raising raising children. She said, I want a man. And I'm like, wow. So the maturity factor, and you see this world over, is that a lot of beautiful, young, attractive women are attracted to men that's in their 40s and their 50s. They're attracted because these are men that are mature. They see this and they know this. And so these are the, and so this is why it's important for us to understand is that, we as men, we'll get it, but we'll get it later on. This is why some of you men, you may be asking yourself the question, why did it take so long for me to come into the knowledge of the truth and to really begin to enjoy life? Why did I have to wait so long? It's because you're still a young whippersnapper. Even in your 40s and your 50s, man, you're a young whippersnapper, man. But that's when you get it. That's when you mature to where, okay, now I understand. You done playing those games. Let me tell you one thing a woman hates is a man that plays games. Is a man that's not authentic and real. And so men get real around mid-40s, and I'm telling you, when they hit that 50, oh man, it's like the light bulb comes on in a man. And we say, okay, now I understand my purpose. Now I understand what I'm supposed to be. Now I understand what responsibility really is. Baruch Hashem, right? I mean, there are women in the room want a man that's responsible. I mean, come on now. Responsibility. Yeah, now I understand what it means to be responsible. Now I understand what it means to be dedicated and loyal. Now I understand. Now I understand love is just not between my legs. Love is an action. It's a livelihood. It's a way I need to live. Baruch Hashem. And I don't have to go running after every skirt anymore. I'm looking for companionship. I'm looking for that partner. And I'm telling you, it hits you in that 40s, mid-40s and 50s. I'm telling you, that's when it hits us, man. And so, just like I stated earlier, it doesn't matter, when you get it, just as long as the light bulb comes on and you get it at some time. And you understand, man, there's more to life than what I've been living. Baruch Hashem. I'm not just this black woman. I'm not this black man. I'm not this African American. I'm not this Caucasian. I am more. I'm more than that. You see, this is when, like we're going to talk about in my lecture, you go from being independent to being dependent. No, you go from being dependent to being independent. Because you're not just going with everybody telling you that you are and how you're going to be and how you're going to live your life. You're not dependent on others to tell you about that. You become independent and you say, no, this is what I am. This is who I am. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to be. This is my being. I'm connected to being now. And that's the beauty of it. And then that's when you truly begin to live life. Baruch Hashem. And you begin to believe in yourself. And you begin to come into yourself. And I'm seeing that with my son, Nakshan. I tell you, he's just coming into himself, and he believes in himself, and he trusts himself, and he's just coming into his own little person, my little man. And he's creeping up on 2 years old, and he's starting to understand, and he wants to do things for himself. Man, I tried to hold his little bottle. Oh man, we went to this little kiddie amusement, little park or something the other day, and I tell you, I cried, Mishpah. Nakshan got on the ride for the first time by himself. A little ride, little train going around, and and I'm like, man, honey, I need to get on. Here I am, Father. Oh, honey, I need to get on with him. I got to strap him in. I got to be next to him because I don't want nothing to happen to him. I don't want to follow. Hey, man, and Nakshan pushed me out the way. He pushed me out the way. And he snapped his little seatbelt thingy on. He's going around this little train, little ride. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, Nakshan don't need me anymore. And he's just laughing and having fun and with all the other children as the train thing goes around. I'm like, wow, Nakshan don't need me anymore. He can do it by himself. And he wants to do it by himself. Try to give him a glass of water. He loves drinking lemonade. Boy, he loves some lemonade, man. He loves some lemonade. And so I was giving him the lemonade, and he took it out of my hand and was holding himself and started drinking. I was like, wow. He wants to do things by the same way we feed him. He wants to feed himself. He don't want you to feed him. Y'all remember them days with your children? And that's what we have to get back to, children of Israel. We have to get back to being what? Independent. And not dependent on somebody else telling you, okay, well, this is how you're going to dress. This is how much money you're going to make. This is going to be your social class. This is going to be, they laying out your whole blueprint for you, and you haven't even touched the pencil or the paper yet. But they laying it all out, but it's all laid out for you. You're going to have these illnesses. You're going to die at this age. No, man, don't put me in your box. Because I'm not dependent on you. Baruch Hashem. And I say that in all humility. I'm not saying it in anger or hate, but I'm not dependent on you. I depend on myself. Baruch Hashem. And we all have to get to that point. And I tell you, my sister, and I told her, I said, well, you keep on going out there and you want, and that the man that you desire, don't give up. Because he's not going to come to you in the Amazon box, sis. You're going to have to, do your part too. But like I told my sister, I was like, man, don't give up. Don't give up. If you desire to have a man, you'll have a man. If that's your desire. If that's what you want. You'll have it. But don't give up. And don't settle. Don't settle for all these knuckleheads out here. Remember what I told you in negotiations last Shabbat? I told you to always ask, is that the best that you can do? If I'm going to Rabbi Zakaria's shop to get my car worked on, first thing I'm going to ask Rabbi Zakaria after he quote me the price, I'm going to say, Rabbi Zakaria, is that the best that you can do? Because I want your very best. I come here from thousands of miles for you to work on my car, so I want you to give me your very best. Rabbi Zakaria starts sweating, but okay, let me put another 20% discount on that. I want you to give me your very best. Because I know you're the best. So, is this the best that you can do for me? And that's the kind of question you need to ask. So, same way in a relationship. Rabbi Zakaria says, employee discount for you. But you see, these are the kind of questions that you need to ask. And you don't need to settle. Same way we come in a relationship with a man and a woman. You're looking for that partner. Is that the best that you can do for me? I want your very best because, listen, I'm going to give you my very best. I'm going to give you 110, 200%. So I want you to match me and bring me there. And when my 200% ain't up, your 300% will be up. And that's how we will balance each other out. The yin and the yang. Baruch Hashem. Because I want your very best. Don't settle, Mishpah. I told my sister, don't settle. And she said, well, if I have to be single for a while, then I'll be single for a while. If I never find that man, then I never find him because I'm not going to settle. I was like, amen, don't settle. But the man that you desire, he'll come your way. I'm just so happy. I was so elated that she no longer want to be married to Jesus anymore. I was like, hallelujah. Many, many years, my sister used to tell me, I don't need a man because I'm married to Jesus. That got old real quick. Mishpah. And she realizes that a man and a woman must leave their parents and cleave to one another. Leave and cleave. Remember that lecture way back in the day. But that's what we must do. We must leave and cleave. Baruch Hashem. We must understand that, Mishpah. That we have to establish rules for ourselves. When you look at all these countries in the spirit of independence, they have rules that they have set and established in their country that you have to follow. And if you don't follow those rules, then you're going to be in trouble, right? You're going to pay the consequences. Either, you're going to pay some fines, either you're going to do some jail time, maybe a little bit of both. But there are rules and there are laws. I just heard in the news media that Bill Cosby got out. How many of you heard that? That they had to free Bill Cosby. Anybody heard about Bill Cosby? Well, they actually had to free him on a technicality. Why? It's because the man made an arrangement with these women, and I don't even understand how he ended up in jail in the first place. But if you make an arrangement with these women and you're not going to say nothing, you're not going to talk, and then you break that arrangement, you break that agreement, then, it's almost like he was tried twice. I'm pretty sure with that arrangement, he delved out some financial responsibility. So he paid on that front. But then the women come around and still put it out there in the street, and then he gets tried for it, and then he does some jail time. He's accused of it. That's like double jeopardy. But again, in the end, the legal system freed him. They freed him because the Supreme Court said, wait a minute, you can't judge this. You cannot condemn this man because there was already agreement that these women wouldn't say nothing, and he paid for it financially. You see what I'm saying? So, again, laws are set up in these different countries. You see? It's the law right now in China. If I want to go to China right now, Mishpahah, when I enter the country, I have to quarantine for 45 days, and also I have to take their COVID test in the rectum. I have to bend over, and they're going to shove something up my booty. And I'm like, well, I won't be going to China anytime soon if that's y'all law. Because that's exit only back there. Now, how many of you have heard of that? Well, that's true. That's their law. So if you want to be in their country, then you have to abide by their laws. And the law of China right now, if you want to go in as a tourist, you want to go in on any kind of travel visa, you got to bend over. And they're going to take your COVID test up your rectum, up your backside, up that gluteus maximus. And I'm like, no, I'm not having that. Until y'all change y'all's law, this is where I'm coming from. This is my independent view. Until y'all change y'all's law, then I won't be going to China. Because you're not going to use me as no test tube baby and sticking nothing on my backside. That's exit only. So, yeah. So, Grandma, Mother-in-law, FaceTime, baby, FaceTime. Because I'm not going that route. So, these are the types of things that we have to decide to do. Either you make the choice to follow along, independently, or you break out dependently. Now, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people, even as my wife has some Chinese friends here in America that don't want to go to China right now. Number one, because they're talking about this variant that's out there. How many of you heard of the new variant of the virus? Here we go again. Y'all keep up y'all's regimen because they're talking about this new variant that's out there and blah, blah, blah. And blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. New variants out there. So keep up the regimen that Hakohen has taught us. Continue your regimen. Onion in the house. Cut it up. Put it throughout your house and all that. Continue with your selenium. And I tell you, the other drugs, the other herbal remedies are really getting pulled off the shelves now, I'm noticing. Artemisia, I mean, my little bottles that I buy, my goodness, man, they have been on back order for a long time, so people are wising up, and I say Baruch Hashem. Let's fire this up. I say Baruch Hashem for that. That people are literally wising up to the point and to the fact that, if I desire not to get the shot, if I desire not to get an immunization shot, then I won't get the immunization shot. I'll continue on with my holistic remedy and take care of myself that way. I don't have to get this if you so desire not to want to get the shot, then I don't have to get the shot. I don't need to take your shot. You see? Now, we understand that there are many different shots out there. Okay, now, like I was saying before, if a lot of people are wising up with their Artemisia to the fact that, listen, I want to continue my holistic method, and if I don't desire to get your shot, and I'm not going to put you on the spot in this room right now, but some folks don't desire to get these, these COVID shots and this, that, the other. They desire to keep it holistic, and they don't want to go that route. So if they desire to want to go their route with the holistic side, then so be it. Or if they desire, and I think a lot of people are waking up to that, where they prefer to do it the holistic way, and not to take all these different the different immunizations that are available for the COVID shots. There, a slew of different companies putting out different variants of this immunization. Now, I'll tell you personally, I haven't taken it, and I will also tell you personally from here in San Antonio, from the doctors and the nurses that work in the hospital around me, and the hospitals around me, because we have several. that majority of the nurses and doctors aren't even taking it. They desire not to take it. So, I mean, that's a telltale in itself, right? If the nurses and the doctors and they on the front line and they don't want to take it, what is that telling you? So, again, to each his own, and if you desire to take it, then take it. If you don't desire to take it, then don't take it. But, again, it's the ability for you to be able to choose and to become independent instead of dependent on whatever you desire to make your decision-making process, because that's what's important at the end of the day. You have to make the decision to do what you want to do that's best for you, as you see it, not just following the masses, because that's what the masses do. But at the same time, understanding that there are laws out there. Now, if you want to travel, like I want to travel, eventually I'm going to have to get somebody shot, and I'm still a fan of the J&J. I'm still a fan of the J&J. So, that's definitely going to be the route that I go for me and my family. But if you want to travel, there are laws out there that say that, you're going to have some kind of shot or proof that you test negative. Right now, it's proof that you test negative before, I think it's 24 hours before you get on the plane. So it's cutting it kind of tight right now with the testing that they have out there to meet that particular criteria. But it is happening. So Eddie says, I got the fires. It gave me a headache and had to rest for a day or two after I got it. Not too happy. I got it per you and Hakohim. Oh, Eddie's, it doesn't matter. Because if you continue the regimen of the holistic things that we're talking about, like especially with that selenium and the artemisia, then I mean happy. Oh, okay. But happy that I got it per you and Hakohim. Oh yeah. But yeah, great. So regardless, it's not going to affect us. We're Israel. Now, I don't know if you know through history, many times they've been trying to do away with Israel. Medications, all kind of testing, I tell you, one of the biggest blatant things that I heard about here in North America, that is history as well, is what they did to the Tuskegee Airmen. That was something else. Oh, honey, Nakshan's awake. So that they did with the Tuskegee Airmen. That was, my goodness. You give all these guys, herpes and syphilis. My goodness. So that was really, I was astonished by that. Okay. Oh, hold on, son. Papa coming. Honey. Oh, well, Nakshan wakes up. So this is what's important to understand, is that we have to be independent thinkers. Now, in saying that, if you have a paper and a pen next to you, or if you want to write this on your notepad, write this down right here. Write the word down, independence. I want you to write this word down. This is going to be a good word case right here. Honey, Nakshan up, honey, I'm okay. So, write that word down, independence. Write the word down, independence, and you'll see something very beautiful here. Very, very beautiful that I want you to see. You write the word down, independence. Now, first of all, I'm not trying to. I tell you, he's so big now he gets down by himself. I tell you, he doesn't need me anymore. He doesn't need Papa. So you look at the word independence. Everybody wrote it down? Okay, so when you look at the word independence, Shabbat Shalom, not Sean. Boy, you get up by yourself, I tell you, come on, truck. Yo. So you write the word down, independence. Now, I asked earlier for your thought, your opinion on what independence means to you. You look at that word, and here's a time where you can get interactive. What does independence mean to you, Mishpaha? When you look at independence, what does it mean? Any takers? Just write down what independence means to you. There's no wrong answer. What does independence mean? What does independence mean to you? Any takers? Freedom of choice. To top of that, Lion Princess. Lion Princess says freedom of choice. Okay, great. Baruch Hashem. There's no wrong answer here. When you look at independence, what does it mean to you? Eddie says, financially free to do what one wants. Baruch Hashem. Atara says, to do what I want. Baruch Hashem. Do what you want. Choose. Key words that I'm picking up. Freedom, choice, want, freedom, not relying on others. To top of your responses, by the way, Hadassah Gray says. Not relying on others. Okay. In control of my destiny. To die for that, Ya'el, woman of the tent. Now here we go. Now let's do this. What does the word dependent mean to you? When you look at dependent, what does that mean to you? Dependent. If you want to go to Google, you can do that too. But what does the word dependent mean? What does the word dependent mean? I hear it all the time. Oh, I'm dependent on. Line person says reliance on others. And the other takers, reliance on others. Any other takers? I need help from others. Any other takers? Cannot go without help. I tell you, communication, I tell you, that's the key to life, isn't it? It's unfortunate that for many years, our history has been miscommunicated to us, right? To where, again, now it was prophesied by Noah, but again, to where even, the people that say the outer people of the books are really not. It's been miscommunicated. You know what I mean? Support of others. Cannot go without help. Baruch Hashem. Needing help from others. Now, in the communication skills, here's one of the key words that you can use to really help you get what you want. Is when you make a phrase, say it this way. Say, can you help me with this? If you say that word help, it's been studied that people respond to the word help. And if you notice, like people that have their signs up at the stoplights and stuff, they'll always have that word help. You ever notice that? They will always have, like on their little cardboard, they will have that word help in bold black. Notice that. Pay attention to that. Because that word help, it seems to stir up activity, the activity of action. So, if you ever really desire something from somebody or need assistance from somebody, don't say, can you assist me? Say, can you help me? Chadasha Grace says the support of others, Baruch Hashem, to die for your responses. The support of others, dependence. Okay, so you have the word independence written down. Now, here we go. This is when we get to the grits and the greens of independence here. Now, this is a word play, and I want you all to see this. Now what I want you to do is separate the I-N from the dependence. Like, draw a line between it. And this is the difference between dependence, and it's a big difference. And it's a gap between, you see it in humanity, from those that are dependent from those that are not. And what's that word? What's the word gap? The word is in. That's the gap. In. I want you all to see this. Do you see it yet? In. Do you see it? Because in order to be dependent, you got to look inside you. Are you with me? Woo wait. Boy, this just lights my Bunsen burner here. You got to be in yourself. You got to look inside yourself. What's inside of you? I'm telling you, this is the key. This is the key right here. And a lot of people have missed it because they don't look in. They're still looking out. I was one of those at one time. I was always looking out. Oh, I got to go find God outside of myself. Let me go to this church. Let me go to this denomination. Let me try this religion. You know what I mean? But if you really want to be independent, you first got to look what? Within yourself. Independence is in you. Do you see it, Chadasha Grace? Isn't it something? What a great word play on American Word. Isn't that something? Where are you going to find independence? It's already in you. Dependence is in you. And until you look within, you're never going to get independence. You're never going to get that freedom. You're never going to get that control. You're never going to get what you want. You're never going to have the ability to choose. Are you with me, Mishpachah? Hey, Prince, Shabbat Shalom to you. Do you see what I mean? And a lot of people miss this. They totally miss it. They totally say, oh, I'm so independent, but yet you depended on the man, you depended on the government, you depended on your job, you depended on many things. You depended on many, many, many things. You depended on the weather. You depended on many things. You haven't become independent yet because what? You haven't looked within. And I wrote this down, Mishpachah. I wrote this down this morning. Independence of thought and mind. Independence of thought and mind equals consciousness. Think about this. Independence of thought and mind equals consciousness. Because we know and understand that there's a lot of people walking around here unconscious. You all get that, right? They're unconscious. I call them like zombies. They're like, you're just zombies. You're walking around here. You're going through the ropes of life. I was unconscious for a long time. But then one day I just snapped. I was like, man, I'm tired of doing this. Sick and tired of doing the same old thing over and over again. And I'm expecting different results. But I continue to do the same thing and I'm getting just the same result. You know what I mean? See, so there's a lot of folks that are walking around here unconscious. What's wrong with Nakshan? Yo. So yeah, just the meat and potatoes of it right here. Independence of thought and mind. When you can independently think for yourself, and you can independently use your mind for the great tool that it is, then you become conscious. Baruch Hashem. Then you become conscious, Baruch Hashem. Shabbat Shalom, Pirate PR. But a lot of people aren't there yet. And it's unfortunate. But I can't be concerned with a lot of people. I have to be concerned with myself. Remember, it has to start within each and every one of us as individuals. What do I look for when I look inside, when I'm in? Well, what did I just write right there? Independence of thought and mind equals consciousness. Now let's go even further. Connection and knowledge of self equals freedom. Connection and knowledge of self, or to self, because that's what's in. What's in you is self. That's subconscious. That's self. And when you connect with that, my goodness, then you're free. How many of you, and then you're free, and you're free indeed. How many of you understand what I'm talking about? See, it's not about, I was freed by the Catholic Church, I was freed by the Baptist establishment, I was freed by the Pentecostals wearing my dress, they freed me. No, you was freed from within. That's where freedom really lies. Where is the God? He's within you. He said he'll never leave us or forsake us. So wherever I go, he must be. If I'm in Jerusalem, he there. If I'm in China, he there. If I'm in America, he there, because he's in me. Baruch Hashem. I don't have to go looking for no building. I don't have to go looking for a man. No, I have to look within myself. Or a woman, for that matter. But it's that inside a lot of folks don't want to deal with in their dealings. And so they throw up excuses or roadblocks or stumbling blocks. Oh, and what do they call those? The blame game. Oh, they pass the buck. Oh, they complain about this, that, the other. And they point the finger everywhere instead of looking within themselves. Independence is in. It's not out. And until you get in, you're going to continue to be dependent on whatever that vice is. You're going to continue to be dependent on complaining, dependent on poverty, dependent on whatever it may be, on depression. You're going to continue to be dependent until you get within and begin to deal with the inside of yourself. And you begin to connect, and you begin to have knowledge of self. That's freedom. That equals freedom to me. But most of humanity is dependent. Yet they'll say, oh, I'm independent. I'm so free. Yet you in bondage. Lion Princess says, freedom starts within self. Otherwise, others control you. Oh, indeed, Lion Princess. And this is the gist of the lecture right here. You know, you can say you independent until the cows come home. But are you being pulled to and fro by this person, that person? Well, they said I'm never going to do it. Well, guess what? You never going to do it because you're going by what they said. Well, he said I'm never going to be successful. Oh, he said I'm ugly. Oh, you believe what he says? Instead of what's in you. What do you believe? Man, nobody can tell you. Folks will sit there and tell you till the cows come home. Why? It's because either, I'm going to tell you, they jealous of you, number one. Jealousy will kick in. They hating on you, number two. Or number three, they envious of you. These are the characteristics of humanity that you need to understand. The negative forces, the negative side of humanity. And you need to respect that and know it and see it for what it is and recognize it. I mean, we live in a world of humans here, not aliens. Shabbat shalom, son. Yika baba. Yika baba. Oh, my handsome boy. Bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. You shall be called Nachshon. So, yeah, the Baba phone. So, we must understand that, Mishpahah. This is very important for us to understand. The in and independence, it starts within. It starts within me. If I want to correct self, then I have to look at self. I have to look at that man in the mirror. Or some of you, it's the woman in the mirror. But you must look at him, and then you must begin to have that relationship within. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Didn't say it's without you. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Well, then why am I going without, looking over here, going to this church, this building, this thing, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Why? It's because I'm still of independent, because I'm still of dependent thought. I'm still of dependent action. Not taking action for myself, like Lion Princess is talking about. Freedom starts within self. Otherwise, others control you. I don't want to be controlled by others. I will not be controlled by others. I will control myself. Right now, John? I will control myself. That's what's important. Well, how are you going to control yourself when you don't even understand yourself? You don't have a relationship with yourself. You don't even love yourself. One of the greatest pillars of our commandments is that we love our neighbors as we love ourselves. I tell you, I sit back as a student of human nature and watch folks during the 6 days of labor, and I realize that a lot of folks don't love themselves because they sure hating on their neighbor. You know what I mean? And I realize, I'm sitting there and saying, man, I can tell you don't love yourself. I'm saying to myself. There's a lot of folks running around here that just don't love themselves at all. They have no connection with the end. Thus, they're being controlled. Thus, they need help from others. Instead of realizing that there's such a superpower within themselves. They're so powerful. They don't even understand how powerful they are. It's because they're hopping to and fro, drinking all these bitter waters out here, and just get even more confused because they're so confused. You listen to all this noise out there. You got to tune out the noise and go inside so you can get independent. Stand on your own 2 feet. Right now, Sean? You must be able to stand on your own 2 feet. This is what's very important to understand. In the spirit of Independence Day. What do y'all call it, Oliver? What do you call it in France? You call it Independence Day? What do y'all call it? I know there's a holiday sort of kind of like what we do here in America for that. What do y'all call it, Oliver, in France? But you see, this is what we must understand. It's very, very important that when you look at independence, that you look at the first part of the word, what they call that, the prefix, the end. You must look within. And you must look in to be dependent. To be independent, not to be dependent. Because you're going to look in and realize, oh, I don't have to be dependent on nothing or nobody or no thing. Because the God powers, source energy, resides in me. And you are energy, by the way. Contrary to popular belief, you are energy. Now, what kind of energy you want to be, that's up to you. You want to be positive energy? You want to be negative energy? What do you want to be? You have to look within inside yourself to see what you want to be. Instead of other people telling you, oh, well, instead of other people profiling you, telling you, oh, well, you're blacks and the browns, y'all blacks and the browns males, 70-80% of you will end up being incarcerated at some time in your life. That doesn't pertain to me because I'm independent. And I haven't been incarcerated and won't be incarcerated, by the way. See, you can't tell me. But see, you got to come out of this dependence. And I'm seeing it. My wife, from China, you all know, Chinese. I was asking her the other night, I was like, hey, are you still talking to your friends from China? And she's like, no, not really. They found out I was in America and they don't want to talk to me anymore. They feel like I'm a traitor because I came to America. They feel like China is better. Why? It's because all the time that they're told on the national TV over there, China's better. China's better. America sucks. America is dying. And this is propagated, and they're conditioned with this on TV all day long, all day strong. They only have state TV. They don't have independent stations over there. They have dependent stations. All these television stations over there are dependent upon the Chinese government, the CCP. And so they're told this all the time to where they're wrecking relationships. I said, honey, these been your friends for years. She says, these have been your friends for years. And now since you just geographically moved from China to America, now they don't want to be your friend anymore. They don't want to talk to you. They tell you you're a traitor. And she's like, honey, you got to understand. I tell you, she's so wise. Women are so wise. She said, honey, you got to understand. Just because someone says that you're a friend on the outside doesn't mean that they're your friend on the inside. I was like, wow. I was like, revelation, Baruch Hashem, pirate. Hey, pirate, I was like, revelation, Baruch Hashem. But yeah, it was so true. So I'll tell you all the same, family. Just because somebody says they're your friend on the outside doesn't mean that they're your friend on the inside. Y'all got that, family? Use that. Right, Nakshan? Just because they say they're your family on the outside doesn't mean that they're your family on the inside. And she said, when problems come, you don't see them. When you need help or assistance with something, they don't help you. So they just your friends on the outside. Huh, Nakshan? Yeah, the Papa phone. They just your friends on the outside. Not your friends on the inside. So, learned a great lesson from my wife once again. Why? It's because I ask questions. I probe. I ask questions and I want to know. I want to know why. I want to know why. And there's nothing wrong with asking questions. There's totally nothing wrong with asking questions. Right, Nakshan? Papa's handsome baby boy? So we must understand that going forward, Mishpachah. We must understand that. Is that independence starts what? Within. Within. Within you and within myself. And from there, the world is your cheesecake after that. My goodness. Whatever you want to be, will be. However you want to feel, you will feel. Not what other people telling you. However much money, Eddies, you want to make, you will make it. It's up to you. Ball, Nakshan. You'll make it. You'll do it. You'll be it. You'll be successful. You'll be in that perfect relation that you always desired for yourself. You'll have that job that you always wanted. You'll have that security that you've always desired. You'll have that peace, love, and happiness and joy that you've always wanted. Why? It's because you're establishing that within yourself first. Too many years. I tell you, you know what my kryptonite was, pirate? I will tell you what women was my kryptonite. Too many years I sought for peace, love, joy, and happiness in women. Never found it, but I was seeking for it in women until I had to change up my motto, and I realized, wait a minute, I'm doing the same old thing and I'm getting the same old results, so I need to change what I'm doing. And I realized, before I could love a woman, I had to love myself first. Wow, that was revelation for me. That was total revelation for me. Is that I had to love myself first. I had to have a relationship with myself. I had to look within. Baruch Hashem. To get independent, I had to get in myself. I had to romance myself. How many of you have romanced yourself lately? Put up a capital R if you actually romance yourself. Anybody romanced yourself lately? Maybe, went and splurged on yourself. Did something for yourself. Baruch Hashem. And that's what you need to do. Before you can romance somebody else, you got to romance yourself. You know? Baruch Hashem. I say, I'm so proud of you, family. Because that's what it's all about. You understand this within. Yael Woman of 10 said just yesterday, Baruch Hashem. Romance yourself. Establish an awesome relationship with yourself. Love yourself. And then the love for others is just going to come out of you. The love for people around you is just going to come out of you. And it's not based on what they do for you. It's because, why? You're independent. You're not dependent on what they do for you. Regardless of what they do for you, that love's still going to be there. Baruch Hashem. Yeshua ben Yosef. Yahushua. Jesus of Nazareth, whatever y'all call him. I mean, he had people chasing him up and down the block, wanting to kill him. Some loved him, some hated him, right? That's what you get. Some 30-odd years he was dealing with that. Some people loving him, some people hating him. You know, that's what you was getting. But he still had love for everybody. Even the ones that were hating. In his face. Oh, we don't like you. Matter of fact, we're going to try to kill you. Yet he showed love to him because he was connected to his end. He didn't care what these people say they're going to kill me. What am I going to do? And blah, blah, blah. It's the end of the world. Father, can you help me out with this matter? Blah, blah, blah. You see? No, he didn't do all that. Why? Because he was comfortable within. And he could give love to everybody, even those that hate him. And like he said, what good is you, and I'm paraphrasing, but what good is it for you to love somebody that hates you? No, what good is it for you to love somebody that loves you? The greater love is for you to love somebody that actually don't love you, that despises you, that actually want to kill you. You see what I mean? That's a different level, Mishpachah. Well, that's a level that many won't understand. Few will comprehend, and very, very few will take action upon. Why? It's because they're not connected with the end self, the end of independence. They still dependent, man. Dependent on material, whatever. Dependent on a woman. Dependent on a man. Dependent. That's not my vocabulary, because I'm independent. I'm connected to my inward man. My inward being, Baruch Hashem. And that's the beauty of it. That's what makes it so beautiful. But there are laws to it, Mishpachah. There are laws to it, just as there are laws to anything in life. There are laws to it, Mishpachah. And what's the law? The law is that you continue to be honest with yourself. If you can't be honest with nobody, you must be honest with yourself. That's very, very important to understand. You must be honest with yourself. If you can't be honest with yourself, then who are you going to be honest with? So these are the times, and I tell you, this is one of the greatest blessings of the COVID. Is it help folks not only connect with their families, but people begin to really connect with themselves. Because you have all this downtime with yourself. Some people realize that they hated themselves. And it's sad to say, but a lot of folks actually killed themselves during the COVID. You all understand that, right? A lot of people actually took their lives during the COVID. Because they were socially isolated and they didn't like themselves. They didn't have all these other people around them to hold them up and prop them up and to tell them, oh, you're great and you're great and you're great. And you're so great. But at the same time, a lot of folks actually begin to deal with themselves and realize that they weren't happy with themselves and they made the necessary changes. A lot of divorces happened during the COVID, but also at the same time, a lot of marriages happening during the COVID when we were on lockdown. You see? So this is what we look at, Mishpachah. This is what we realize and we understand. So for us, and I would like you to always remember that wordplay on independence. And not only just in the spirit of Independence 4th of July here in North America, but independence is for us every day. For me, I'm independent every day. It's not a day that we pick out. And listen, I don't need an Independence Day to throw some meat on the grill. It could be, when we had that little freeze down here in San Antonio, I was out barbecuing. Me and my son, Nakshan. We were barbecuing in the snow. Careful, son, careful. I mean, every day, Kashim. You know what I mean? And so these are the things that we must understand going forward. It's not about a religion. It's about a way of life. You know, this is why that Torah, that Bible, is so important to us. Because it's not just a book that you put on the shelf or a book, that has all these bells and whistles and designs on it. It's actually what's in there that gives us the power. If we truly begin to follow it and keep it. And not only that, but let it become a part of us to where it's a part of our lifestyle. It's how we live our life. Baruch Hashem. It's our livelihood. So when the person comes up to me and says, hey, you're a Jew, why don't you eat shrimp? I said, sir, I'm not permitted to eat shrimp, but I'll buy you a shrimp platter. Do you want one? And they're like, what? They weren't expecting that. You see what I mean? People come at you with a particular agenda and you just quash it with just love and compassion and giving. They were like, what the hell? This man just said he's going to buy me a shrimp platter. I'm not permitted to eat shrimp, but you can, no problem. Hey, you want me to buy you a shrimp platter? Come on, let's sit down and break bread together. I'll get this chicken plate over here and you eat your shrimp platter, huh? How about that? You see, because I'm not here to put up walls. I'm not here to segregate. I'm here to bring people together. That's what light does. Light just illuminates. Baruch Hashem, it brings folks together. And that's what I'm here to do. I was thinking about how we are the light to all these nations that we've been dispersed into the four corners of this earth. As I had set up, I tell you, we've been having some good rain here in San Antonio, which is kind of uncommon for our area. And we have a mosquito issue in the garden, So my wife is just getting attacked by these mosquitoes as she's working in her garden with our fruits and vegetables. Hey, Rabbi, I'm telling you, man, we got a cantaloupe in our garden that's growing. They're growing so big it reminds me of when the 12 spies went and they brought back the grapes. My wife having to bring the cantaloupe in with a big old stick because it's so big. I'm like, Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. The land flowing with milk and honey is in my backyard, like I've always said. I am in the land flowing with milk and honey. But anyway, we got these mosquitoes just tearing my wife up, man. They just eating her up. And I said, okay, tonight we put up the bug light. So last night I set the bug light, the zapper bug light. I highly recommend that if you have a mosquito issue. I tell you what. And I'm thinking, we are the light of the world. And we attract people to us. We don't have to, it ain't what we say, it's how we live our life. We don't have to go out here and we definitely not evangelizing nations and doing all this other mumbo jumbo and all these. No, we actually live our life. And how many of you notice that you just live your life and people are attracted to you? They'll come up to you and ask you a question. They'll come up to you and say, hey man, I don't know, how do you keep the peace when all this chaos is going on around you? Man, I don't know, why are you always so happy, man? Everything seems to be going to hell in a handbasket and you over there happy. Number one, because there's no such thing as hell. So, there is no hell for me to be, fearful of, you know what I'm saying? And so you get them and they're like, wow, man. Like, you have so much knowledge. I said, no, it's not. It's just that I'm connected to myself. Me and my subconscious, we connected. Me and my spirit, we one. Aha. My soul, we all one. We're not helter-skelter inside. We all one. And that's when you can flow and move. And so these mosquitoes, and I turned on that zapper. I got it at Home Depot, man. Get you one of them zappers. So I got this zapper, and you hear the mosquitoes just going right into that light. Bzzz, and they're zapping them. It's almost like a little song. They're zapping them so much. And I'm like, wow. And this is how we attract. I mean, and moths were coming in. Just anything that saw the light was going to it. And I'm like, wow. And that's how we are. And so it's very, very important that we make ourselves accessible to the nations because we light. And as they're attracted to us, don't discourage them. Don't shame them. Help them because they need help. We don't need to help. Why? Because we independent. But they need to help. And we helping them, we actually help ourselves. We actually publish the name of the Most High. Not by holding up these big placards with Yud Hey Wah-Hey on there. No, not all that mumbo jumbo. But just by how we live our lives as human beings. You get it, Mishpah? That's independence. And the world needs to see this. The world needs to see more of this. It's here, but they need to see more of it. Your nation, your world, they need to see more of it. And all you have to do is just live your life. Don't, you listen to these folks, man, I'm telling you, all this bitter water on YouTube, they get you so afraid that you're in the nations that, people are out to get you. They want to attack you. They want to kill you. You got Jewish blood in you. They're trying to take you out. Look, that's been the agenda from the very beginnings of time as we look at our holy books. Lilith made that promise at the very beginning of time that she wanted to take out all the seed of Adam. How good has she been with that? How successful has she been with that promise? It's been a big failure. Because listen, Israel's like Bebe's kids. We die. We don't die. We multiply. That's what we do. We just like Bebe's kids. We don't die. We just continue to multiply. One of the beauties of the exile is we protected and we tucked into all these nations to do great and marvelous things for these nations. Not to protest, not to be antagonists to the nations that we're in, but to be protagonists, to be optimists, to be inventors and creators, and to assist these nations that we're in to do great, marvelous things. And more importantly, to assist the people that we're in. The people that are in these nations, to help them. To teach them, to show them that there is a better way. And that they truly can have independence. They truly can have independence, Mr. Bahar. You can be independent in a communist nation. I'm a product of that. You can be independent in a communist nation. You can. You can be independent in a communist nation. Why? It's because you don't have, and that's what my wife was telling me. She was like, there's a lot of people, because of all this state media, TV, and they just fed this all the time. All the time. It's the propaganda that they fed about, the CCP is great. And you're right, Pirate, that's their whole purpose is to take us out. They will take out America. They hate the UK, take out America. CCP is great. They're the superpower. It's over and over. They are conditioned with this over and over and over again. And you know what my wife said, which is so true. She was like, honey, unless you have free think, then you're going to believe. She said, all my friends in China, they don't have free think. They just go along with what they've been told, what they see on TV. She said, but many, many years ago, I had free think. I began to think for myself. I was like, wow, you're so wise, honey. She said, I began to think for myself. And she was a CCP member at one time herself. But she realized this, and she realized not by what was told, but she saw the actions of CCP, and she didn't like it because what they were saying is not what they were doing. They weren't helping the people. They weren't helping the poor. They weren't helping. And she said, no, this is not for me. And she said, when I saw that, I changed my think. I changed my think. And remember what I wrote earlier, and this is so true. Independence of thought and mind equals consciousness. That's when you become conscious. You go from being unconscious to conscious. Well, I spent many years being unconscious in Christianity, in Catholicism, in the non-denominational churches, in the Baptist system. I did the Protestant system that they call it, but I didn't do the Pentecostal system. Many, many years. Independence of thought and mind equals consciousness. Connection and knowledge of self equals freedom. Connection to self and knowledge of self equals freedom. That's when you become free. Think about that for a minute. Well, a lot of folks are connected to the wrong things, unfortunately. And so you leave them to it. A lot of folks are stubborn. And they're not willing and able to change. And this is why my wife doesn't really communicate with her friends that much in China. Because they're not willing to accept change. Can't accept it. No, this is just the way it is. There's no other way. How many of you understand, as students of human nature, that say like you have this one goal? How many of you understand that there's so many different ways to get to that one goal. There's not just one way to get to the goal. How many of you understand that? Do you understand what I mean? Say like you have this one goal. Maybe the first, your way of thinking, okay, that fails and falls through. Do you stop after that? Or do you understand, look, there's more than one way to get to my goal. There's more than one way to meet it. But some folks don't think like that. Because why? They're not connected. They're not independent. They just say, okay, well, if it's just this one way and it fails, then I'm giving up. I see that in humanity a lot. Well, I tried it this way and it didn't work, and so that's it. I gave up on that. And a lot of folks, you look at humanity, they sell themselves short. They can be so successful, so happy, so at peace, so full of joy with themselves. But they refuse. Why? It's because of failure. One failure, then they quit. They give up. Oh, no. Man, I'm going to try again. I'm that little train that could and would and should and did. Baruch Hashem. I'm never giving up. Never giving in. Never giving up, Mishpachah. That's my mantra. Nothing's stopping me, Mishpachah. Because why? Hey, pirate, I'm unstoppable. Because I have the DNA of El Shaddai. I can't be stopped. You're not going to run me with your little fear factor and all this other stuff. But I'm going to tell you. This. I'll tell you this, and it's so true. Lived in China for a while. Have a house in China. Love China. Love the Chinese people. The government sucks, but the people are some of the most humblest, friendliest people you ever want to meet in your life, Mishpachah. I would encourage you all, if you can, go to China. There's some of the most friendliest people that you ever want to meet in your life. The most humblest people. The most givingest of a people. I love China. So, you just understand that going forward. Don't get caught up in all this media mumbo jumbo. Oh, we must hate China. China is doing this, that, blah. Don't believe all that mumbo jumbo. Because at the end of the day, we're people. Shabbat shalom, HaKohen. Or shalom over there. But we're people. We're people. We're a human race. And just like that woman said, when you look at the earth outside of earth, when you look at the earth in space, the earth is just one big country. That's all it is. It's just one big country. So we got to learn to get on and get along. Okay, Kohen, I can turn the mic over to you if you're ready. But a lot of people don't have that thought process. And Pirate, welcome. And you're more than welcome to come back anytime that you want to. Okay, you can play your recording. Okay, that's fine, Kohen. More than welcome to come back. This is a room. This is a room that we're not caught up on religion. It's a way of life for us. It's a way of life. A way of life for us. It's how we live our life. It's our lifestyle. But this is what not being taught in Judaism. Judaism is another thing. Another religion is want to give you a bunch of rules. But we're going back to the forever and ancient ways of our forefathers. Of how we just lived our lives. And our very livelihood. And we're being taught that by HaKohen, Rabbi Simon Altav. He's a Kohen. He's a literal Kohen in the gate. And okay, I'll do that, Kohen. And that's how we live our life, and that's who we are. So you need to tell the others that really want to connect back to Israel is that we got to connect to the Kohen. We got to connect to our Kohen in the gate to give us guidance and direction on what we need to do going forward and how we need to live our lives in 2021, because it's totally different than living our life. Listen. We have planes, trains, automobiles, driverless cars, and soon to be hoverly cars and all this other stuff. We don't have camels and mules. I mean, we have them, but we're not using them to travel. And in some places here in Texas, we still using horses. I mean, you still see horses around, but not as much as they used to, like the Wild Wild West days. You're not seeing that anymore. So it's a different time, and so we need guidance and direction. And I know YouTube has been a forum for a lot of people to search for that particular guidance and direction and to find a place where they're comfortable and where they fit. But that's not necessarily always right, you see. Because we're told in our holy books that our teachers are to be the priesthood. They're to teach Israel. And you see that pattern through all of our history in our holy books. Is that when Israel had a controversy, who'd they go to? Moses and Aaron. For clarity, go to the priesthood. So that's what we must do. So I'm going to queue up HaKohen's lecture here. I'm going to queue his lecture up, and we'll keep it moving. I'm going to download his lecture so That way I can play it, and we'll have full recording on everything. I think that will work out. Let me get that going. Any questions before we keep it going on? Any questions about current events and what's going on around the world and blah blah blah, and what's going on in your lives and your manifestations and what are you doing? Anybody have any questions on that? Any questions or concerns? Cohen, I'm getting ready to fire up the lecture. Do you want to have a little chat real quick, or you okay? You're good to go. I'm looking for your lecture here. Okay, there we go. Any questions or concerns? Also, Pirate, if you want to get a great Bible that'll assist you, Cohen has one called the Abrahamic-Faith Bible or the Hidden Truth We Break Scrolls. You can purchase it on Amazon. That Bible will really help you and give you assist you and give you great understanding of our forever ways, so you can understand how we. Okay, got it, Hakoin. I see it. Give you great understanding on how we operate and how our forefathers operated, and it clears up a lot of the mishmash that they want to give you with custom and tradition and blah blah blah. So that'll really help you. Okay, Hakoin. Yeah. So if somebody could post him that link, that'll help him out. That Bible really assists you in your studies. Yeah, I'm telling you, that's the. I don't mean to be partial because I know Hakoin, he's my brother from the same mother, but that Bible is like, there's bar none, there's nothing that can touch it. And I know everybody in this room will also attest and witness to it. That's just an awesome Bible. It just really is an awesome Bible, and it gives you our heritage. And it's really here to clean up all of the falsehoods that are out there. To top of that, Hakoin, it's really to clean up all the falsehoods out there. And it's not to be braggadocious or it's not to shame anybody, but just to put the truth out there. People of color are truly the people of the books. If anybody with any bit of understanding and thought would realize that, come on, man. The people of the books are blacks and the browns, and let's start from there. That'll really shed some light on a lot of situation. You know what I mean? Let's open this one for Hakoin, and we'll get this fired up. So I'm going to fire up Hakoin's lecture here. And we'll keep it moving. This will be recorded, so you can save your questions for after the lecture. And, yeah, like that. Okay. All right. I got him queued up here. Rabbi Kohen. Okay, Mishbaha. I think that's pretty much it for today. For this Shabbat, I'll say Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom to you. Unless there's anyone who has any kind of questions, we can answer those right now. Feel free to always send out Kohen an email at shimoon63@yahoo.com if you have any questions or concerns. You want to keep it moving forward. You want to enhance your ability to meet your necessaries. But my desire is that you have a great 6 days of labor ahead and enjoy this Shabbat. Enjoy the time with your family, friends, and loved ones as we keep moving forward. So Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom to all of you, Mishpahah. Have a wonderful Shabbat and a great 6 days of labor ahead.